The late 1990s and early 2000s marked a golden era for professional wrestling, with companies like WWE, then called WWF, WCW, and ECW, pushing the boundaries of storytelling, violence, and extreme stunts. So as the mainstream wrestling scene was dominated by large organizations, an underground movement emerged, showcasing a more chaotic and unsanctioned style of wrestling. This subculture, known as backyard wrestling, involved enthusiastic amateurs performing dangerous stunts and high-flying maneuvers in private settings, often filmed and distributed through homemade videos. Wrestling fans, mostly teens and young adults, became interested in recreating the stunts they saw on TV, and backyard wrestling grew as an underground phenomenon. Inspired by the gritty style of ECW, many fans started their own federations and filmed matches in backyards, empty lots, and parks using minimal equipment and household items as props. With the internet, backyard wrestling reached a larger audience, allowing amateur wrestlers to showcase their talents and stunts to viewers across the globe. As the backyard wrestling craze grew, mainstream media took notice. Local news outlets frequently covered the dangerous trend, often emphasizing the risks involved. This attention also brought legal concerns, as some municipalities attempted to restrict or ban backyard wrestling activities due to safety hazards. The media coverage, while sometimes negative, heightened the appeal for younger audiences. Shows like Jackass and Wild Boys also encouraged extreme stunts and gave backyard wrestling a similar cultural appeal, fueling interest in high-risk entertainment as a rebellious act. Recognizing the rising popularity, video game developer Eidos Interactive capitalized on the backyard wrestling craze with the release of the video game Backyard Wrestling: Don't Try This at Home. Released for PlayStation 2 and Xbox, Backyard Wrestling: Don't Try This at Home aimed to replicate the unpredictable nature of backyard wrestling. The game offered players a chance to engage in over-the-top matches in unconventional settings such as backyards, parking lots, and construction sites. It stood apart from traditional wrestling games by embracing a more chaotic and violent approach, allowing players to use various weapons, including light tubes, chairs, and even fire extinguishers. One of the most notable aspects of the game was its unique roster of characters, which featured real-life backyard wrestling stars and personalities from the independent wrestling circuit. The rap duo, the Insane Clown Posse, were prominent fixtures of the game, not only giving their likeness, but contributing to the marketing and soundtrack. The ICP, who were also known for their involvement in the world of extreme wrestling, had their own wrestling promotion, Juggalo Championship Wrestling, that started around this time. The Insane Clown Posse's inclusion in the game was a natural fit, as they were deeply tied to both the music and wrestling scenes that backyard wrestling aimed to represent. Other playable characters included hardcore wrestling legends New Jack and Sick Nick Mondo, as well as Madman Pondo, who was a major figure in backyard wrestling. This gave the game an authentic, raw feel, directly appealing to fans of the backyard wrestling phenomenon. But something the developers did, which was really cool, was the inclusion of the character Josh Asbill. Josh Asbill was a real-life fan who won a contest to be digitized as a playable character. Josh's character represented the connection between the game and its community of backyard wrestling enthusiasts. His appearance symbolized the game's grassroots nature and the cultural bond between the game developers and its audience. While Backyard Wrestling: Don't Try This at Home aimed to capture the spirit of a unique subculture, its reception was mixed. Critics praised its novelty and commitment to the backyard wrestling aesthetic, but criticized the gameplay mechanics and overall depth compared to more polished wrestling titles like WWE's offerings. The game's extreme violence and chaotic nature sparked debates about its appropriateness and the influence it could have on players, particularly younger audiences. Nonetheless, it resonated with fans of the underground wrestling scene and remains a cult classic for those who appreciate its eccentricity and unfiltered representation of wrestling culture. Backyard Wrestling: Don't Try This at Home was developed as a response to a cultural trend that blended extreme sports, alternative music, and underground wrestling. By capturing the chaotic DIY ethos of backyard wrestling, The game served as both a celebration of and a warning against the extreme stunts its characters performed. Although it received mixed reviews, the game holds a place in gaming history as a snapshot of a unique subculture and a moment in time when gaming and wrestling crossed into the extreme.